The security badge hit my desk like a funeral bell. "You're done here, Patterson. Clear out." His first day as CEO, my last as anything. The marble lobby echoed with the silence of 100 witnesses pretending not to see. But as I walked away, boots clicking across polished floors, he didn't know about the authorization codes buried deep in the Pentagon contract, the ones that made my digital signature the linchpin of a $200 million defense deal. His secretary would be the first to understand that some foundations, once removed, bring the whole tower down. My name is Wade Patterson, and for 20 years I'd walked through the revolving doors of Apex Defense Technologies like I belonged there. Not because I owned the place, I'm not delusional, but because I'd earned every square inch of respect in this 35-story building. Senior Systems Engineer, the nameplate read. What it didn't say was that I'd saved this company from federal audits twice, secured Pentagon contracts worth billions, and designed the AI radar systems keeping our pilots safe overseas. That Tuesday morning started normal. 07:45 hours sharp. I pushed through those doors carrying my usual black coffee and the congratulatory gift I'd picked up, a vintage Marine Corps challenge coin from my old unit. Classy, respectful, exactly right for a new CEO's first day. I'd even written a welcome note to new leadership and continued service. The lobby buzzed with nervous energy. Groups of engineers clustered near the security desk, whispering. I caught pieces. Wonder what he's like. Heard he cleaned house at his last company. Hope our clearances are safe. I nodded at them with the same reassuring look I'd used for 2 decades. Everything would be fine. Change was normal in defense contracting. We'd handle this transition like all the others. "Morning, Wade," Charlie from procurement called out, gripping his coffee tight. "You meeting with him today?" 10:30 hours, I replied, shifting the coin box to my other hand, right after the all hands. If I'd known those were the last words I'd speak as an Apex employee, I might have chosen better ones. The elevator ride to the 30th floor felt off that morning, longer somehow. The familiar ding at each floor counted down to something I couldn't name. When the doors opened to the executive level, I found everything changed. Gone were the American flags and military photos. Everything was white and chrome now, like some tech startup. Brennan Hayes stood at the center of it all, and I got why people whispered his name with worry. Tall guy, sharp in his expensive suit, with cold, calculating eyes. He was surrounded by his own people, faces I didn't recognize, moving with corporate precision. The old guard was nowhere to be seen. I approached with my gift and professional attitude, extending my free hand. "Mr. Hayes, I'm Wade Patterson, Senior Systems Engineer. Welcome to Apex Defense." He looked at my hand like it was contaminated. Then his gaze met mine, and I saw my fate written there before he opened his mouth. Patterson. He said my name like reading it off a termination list, which I'd learn later he was. Perfect timing. The entire floor went silent. Every cubicle worker popped up to watch. The new assistants, his people, smirked behind their tablets. Even the air conditioning seemed to stop. "I've been reviewing the organizational structure," he continued, loud enough for everyone to hear, "identifying redundancies, legacy personnel who've grown too comfortable, people who represent outdated thinking." My face didn't change. 20 years in defense contracting teaches you to stay calm when incoming fire starts. "I'd be happy to brief you on current projects," I said. "We have several critical Pentagon initiatives running." "That won't be necessary." He cut me off like canceling lunch. "Your services are no longer required. Security will escort you out." The words hit the silence hard. Someone gasped. Nancy from Systems Integration, who'd started my same year. The challenge coin felt ridiculous in my hands now, like bringing flowers to my own court-martial. "I see," I said, because what else was there? "May I ask why?" "You may not." He'd already turned away, dismissing me before security arrived. "This is a new era for Apex Defense. We need fresh perspectives, not relics from the past." Relics. 20 years of 12-hour days, missed birthdays, canceled fishing trips, and I was a relic. The 2 security guards approaching looked uncomfortable. Tony and Mike, guys I'd shared coffee with 1,000 times. They wouldn't meet my eyes. "Sir," Tony mumbled, "we need to escort you to collect your things." "That won't be necessary," I said, copying Hayes's tone. My voice stayed steady somehow. "I keep personal items at home. Company policy. Not true, but I wouldn't give him the satisfaction of the walk of shame. I looked down at the challenge coin in my hands. Semper Fi engraved on old brass. The irony could have sunk a destroyer. I walked to the nearest trash bin and dropped it in. The sound hitting bottom was my only goodbye. "Wade," someone whispered as security flanked me toward the elevator. Monica Cross, Hayes' imported secretary, watched from her new desk with an expression I couldn't read. Her fingers gripped her phone like she wanted to say something, but the words died in the cold atmosphere Hayes had created. The elevator ride down was the longest of my career, 30 floors of my life disappearing with each number. Tony shifted beside me. "This ain't right, Mr. Patterson. Everyone knows what you've done for this place." "It's business, Tony," I said, watching the numbers fall. Nothing personal. But we both knew that was bull. Everything in defense contracting was personal, wrapped up in professional language. Every handshake hit a knife. Every meeting was war. Every new CEO needed blood to prove their power, and I'd just become the sacrifice. The lobby was full of shocked faces when we came out. Word travels fast in our building. Charlie from procurement looked like someone died. Nancy from systems integration had tears. These weren't just coworkers. They were family. We'd pulled all-nighters together, celebrated contract wins, mourned fallen soldiers together. The morning sun felt harsh as I stepped outside. 20 years of routine shattered in 20 minutes. No Pentagon briefings to attend, no deadlines to meet, no classified systems to protect, just me, my truck, and the empty feeling that everything I'd built was crumbling. I drove home on autopilot, muscle memory handling the suburban streets while my brain tried to process what happened. The house felt different when I walked in. Bigger, emptier. My son Jake's college acceptance letter still sat on the kitchen counter, reminder of tuition payments I couldn't guarantee anymore. That's when my phone started ringing. First call was Nancy. "Wade, I'm so sorry, this is crazy, everyone's talking." Second call was Charlie. "They're saying you violated security protocols. That's garbage, and everyone knows it." The third call stopped me cold. "Mr. Patterson, this is Agent Lisa Morgan, FBI Counterintelligence. We need to talk." I met her 2 hours later at a diner outside town. Agent Morgan looked like she could bench press my truck. She slid a manila folder across the table. "What do you know about Continental Security Group?" I opened the folder. Photos, documents, financial records. My stomach dropped. "Chinese-backed consulting firm," I said. "Suspected industrial espionage." "More than suspected now," Morgan said. "Confirmed. They've been targeting defense contractors for months." She pulled out another photo. Hayes shaking hands with a man I recognized from intelligence briefings. "Your new CEO just signed a consulting agreement with them yesterday." "The Pentagon contract," I said, pieces clicking. "He needs my authorization codes." "Which is why you're sitting here talking to me instead of having an accident," Morgan said grimly. "Your digital signature is the only thing between classified radar technology and Beijing. What do you need?" "Right now, nothing. Just stay alive and stay ready. We're building a case, but we need more evidence. Can you think of anyone inside who might help?" I thought about it. Sarah Holstrom, the founder's granddaughter. She's smart, has board access, and she was my intern 3 years back. If anyone would help, it's her. Can you reach out? "I'll try." The next week was hell. Hayes' people tried everything to get my codes. First came the bribes. They offered me a consulting contract worth $500,000. I turned it down. Then came threats. They froze my pension, spread rumors about my clearance, had lawyers send intimidating letters. The breaking point came when Jake called from MIT. "Dad, some guys in suits showed up asking about you. Campus security escorted them off, but they had photos of me leaving class. I'm scared." That's when I stopped playing defense and went on the attack. You don't threaten a Marine's family. Ever. I started making calls. Old contacts from my unit. Guys who'd gone into private security, federal agencies, congressional staff. The network we'd built in foxholes activated like a precision machine. Hayes thought he was fighting one old engineer. He was actually taking on the entire Marine Corps Brotherhood. Tommy Rodriguez, now with Homeland Security, called back first. "Wade, we've been watching Continental Security for months. If Hayes is working with them, we want to know everything." Lisa Morgan, who'd transferred to NSA after our deployment, followed up. "I can run some background checks on Hayes' new people, see what shakes loose." But the real breakthrough came from Sarah Holstrom. She called me at midnight on Friday. "Mr. Patterson, I think my grandfather would want you to know what I've been hearing in board meetings. Sarah was 28, Harvard MBA, everything her grandfather hoped for in a successor. She'd interned under me 3 years ago, learning systems integration. Sharp as a knife and twice as tough. Hayes is planning to transfer the radar technology, she whispered. He's telling the board it's a joint venture, but I've seen the real contracts. We're basically handing everything to Chinese intelligence. When? Next Friday. Emergency board meeting to approve the transfer. Can you stop it? Not alone, but if someone with your credibility was there to explain the technical stuff, I'll be there. Wait, there's something else. Hayes has been asking it about your access codes. They told him the Pentagon contract requires your personal authorization for any tech transfers. He's getting desperate. That explained the escalating pressure. Hayes needed me alive to get those codes, but he was running out of time and patience. Monday morning, Agent Morgan called with an update. We've been monitoring Hayes' communications. He's getting pressure from Continental Security to deliver the radar tech. They're threatening to expose his financial arrangements if he doesn't produce your codes by Friday. What kind of financial arrangements? Swiss accounts, offshore shells, the usual. About $5 million so far, with another $20 million promised when the tech transfers. Your boy's in deep. That afternoon, Sarah sent me encrypted files through a secure channel Tommy Rodriguez set up. Internal emails, financial documents, even recorded phone calls. Hayes wasn't just selling out the company, he was systematically looting it. Equipment purchases that never arrived, consulting fees to shell companies, contract modifications that funneled money overseas. Look at page 47, Sarah's message read. Hayes altered the Pentagon contract terms without board approval. He's trying to remove your authorization requirement, but the Pentagon won't accept the changes without your written consent. I studied the documents. Hayes had been busy. He'd fired half the senior staff, not just me. Anyone with enough experience to spot his scheme was gone. The new hires were either clueless or complicit. Monica Cross, his secretary, turned out to be his girlfriend and a Continental Security operative. Wednesday brought escalation. Jake called again, voice shaky. Dad, they came back. Different guys this time. They followed me to the library, took pictures. Campus police are taking it seriously now, but I'm freaked out. Pack a bag, I told him. Come home this weekend. We'll figure this out together. That evening, Tommy Rodriguez called with disturbing news. Wade, we intercepted chatter about a possible extraction. Continental Security might try to grab you, force you to provide the codes under duress. You need protection. Agent Morgan assigned 2 agents to watch my house, professional guys who blended into the neighborhood. But I wasn't sitting around waiting to be kidnapped. Time to take the offensive. Thursday night, I met with my core team at a VFW hall downtown. Tommy Rodriguez from Homeland Security, Lisa Morgan from NSA, Agent Morgan from FBI, and Sarah Holstrom representing the inside track. We spread the evidence across a table like planning a military operation. Here's what we know, Morgan began. Hayes has been taking money from Continental Security for 8 months. The plan was always to steal the radar technology. He targeted Apex because of the Pentagon contracts and your specific expertise. Lisa Morgan pulled up satellite photos on her laptop. Continental Security's parent company is directly controlled by Chinese military intelligence. The radar tech would give them our frequency signatures, countermeasures, everything. How do we stop them? Sarah asked. Friday's board meeting, I said. We expose everything there, with the board as witnesses. Thomas Holstrom still controls 51% of the company. If he sees proof of what Hayes is doing, that's risky, Tommy warned. If Hayes realizes we're onto him, he might accelerate the timeline or just disappear with what he's already stolen. That's why we need multiple angles, Morgan said. Sarah records the meeting. Wade presents the technical evidence. We have federal agents ready to move. And Lisa's people monitor all communications to prevent Hayes from warning Continental Security. Sarah looked nervous but determined. My grandfather built this company to serve our country. Hayes is destroying everything he worked for. I'm in. Friday morning arrived gray and cold. Jake had driven down from MIT Thursday night, and I'd gotten him settled with friends out of state. Whatever happened today, my family would be safe. I dressed carefully. My best suit, Marine Corps lapel pin, the challenge coin Sarah had retrieved from the trash and returned to me. If I was walking back into Apex Defense, I was going in as myself, not as some broken former employee. Sarah met me in the parking garage at 0930 hours. Board meetings at 1000. Hayes has been making calls all morning. He knows something's up. She handed me a visitor's badge and security clearance. Grandfather insisted you have full access. He never believed Hayes' story about security violations. We rode the elevator to the 30th floor in silence. The executive level still looked like a hospital, all white and chrome. But something felt different. Tension in the air, like before a firefight. Thomas Holstrom waited outside the boardroom, 75 years old but still sharp as a blade. "Wade," he said, gripping my hand. "I should have called you the day after Hayes fired you." I knew something was wrong. "You're calling me now, sir. That's what matters." Hayes emerged from his office, saw me standing there, and his face went white. "What is he doing here?" "Mr. Patterson is here as a technical consultant," Thomas replied calmly. "We need expert analysis of the Continental Security proposal. That's completely inappropriate. He's been terminated. He doesn't have clearance." "Actually," Sarah said, producing documents, "the board voted to reinstate his clearance pending review of his termination. Grandfather still has controlling interest." Hayes looked trapped, desperate. His eyes darted toward the emergency exit, then back to us. "This is a mistake. You don't understand the bigger picture." "Then explain it to us," Thomas said, in the boardroom, with the full board present. The boardroom felt like a courtroom as we filed in. 12 board members, most of them old-school defense industry veterans who'd known Thomas Holstrom for decades. Hayes sat at the head of the table, sweat visible on his forehead despite the air conditioning. "Ladies and gentlemen," Thomas began, "we're here to review the Continental Security Group proposal. But first, I've asked Wade Patterson to brief us on some technical concerns that have come to light." I stood up, feeling the weight of 20 years in this industry. "Board members, what I'm about to show you represents the most serious threat to national security this company has ever faced." I opened my laptop, connected to the projector. "Mr. Hayes has been systematically preparing to transfer our classified radar technology to Chinese military intelligence." The first slide showed Hayes' financial records, bank transfers, shell companies, payments from Continental Security, gasps around the table. Board member Patricia Walsh, a former Pentagon official, leaned forward. "Brennan, please tell me this isn't what it looks like." Hayes tried to bluster. "This is character assassination. Patterson was terminated for cause. He's clearly trying to sabotage legitimate business opportunities." But his voice cracked on the last words. "Then explain these," I said, clicking to the next slide. Phone records, email intercepts, recorded conversations. Lisa Morgan's NSA team had been busy. Hayes' voice filled the room. "The old fool Patterson won't cooperate, but we can work around him. The Pentagon won't know the difference until it's too late." Another board member, retired General Frank Morrison, stood up abruptly. "That's enough. Brennan, you're talking about selling out American soldiers, men and women depending on this technology to stay alive. You don't understand the global market realities," Hayes said desperately. "We need international partnerships to remain competitive. With Chinese military intelligence?" Thomas's voice was ice cold. "My father started this company in 1952 to protect America, not to sell her secrets to the highest bidder." Sarah activated the hidden recording app on her phone, capturing everything. Through the conference room windows, I could see Agent Morgan and her team in the lobby, ready to move. Hayes made his last play. "Even if you believe this nonsense, you can't stop the technology transfer. I've already initiated the process. Continental Security has agreements in place." "Actually," I said, "they don't, because every transfer requires my personal authorization under the Pentagon contract. Page 47, subsection C. The same clause you tried to remove without proper approval." I pulled out my phone, dialed a number on speaker. "Colonel Martinez, Pentagon Procurement Office." "Colonel, this is Wade Patterson at Apex Defense. I'm calling to confirm that my authorization codes remain valid and unchanged for the radar technology contract." "Confirmed, Mr. Patterson. Any transfer attempts without your explicit written consent will void the contract and trigger immediate investigation." Hayes' face went gray. The room erupted in angry voices. Patricia Walsh was already calling Pentagon contacts. General Morrison demanded immediate legal action. Thomas Holstrom sat quietly, watching his CEO's world collapse. That's when Agent Morgan and her team entered the boardroom. "Mr. Hayes, FBI. You're under arrest for violations of the Espionage Act, conspiracy to commit treason, and money laundering." The handcuffs clicked with satisfying finality. As they led Hayes away, he turned back to me. "You think you've won something? Continental Security has other sources, other companies. This won't stop anything." Maybe not, I replied, but it stops you. 6 months later, I sat in my new office on the 30th floor. Chief Technology Officer, Apex Defense Technologies. The nameplate was simple, professional. The view looked out over the same city, but everything felt different now. Hayes was serving 15 years in federal prison. The investigation had uncovered a network of Chinese intelligence operations targeting defense contractors across the country. Congressional hearings, new security protocols, companies scrambling to audit their own vulnerabilities. Continental Security Group was shut down by executive order, their parent company sanctioned. Several other CEOs were arrested in the broader investigation. The radar technology Hayes tried to steal was now deployed in 3 combat theaters, keeping American pilots safe. My salary had increased 40% to $210,000, plus stock options and a Pentagon commendation for exceptional service protecting national security interests. Jake finished his sophomore year at MIT, fully funded. The tuition stress was gone. Sarah Holstrom was being groomed to take over the company, implementing new security protocols to prevent future breaches. Thomas had officially named her heir apparent, with my full support. She'd earned it. The fishing trips were back on my calendar. The 12-hour days were optional now, not mandatory. And every morning when I walked through those revolving doors, I remembered that sometimes your worst day becomes your first day of real success. That challenge coin sat on my desk now, polished to a shine. Semper Fi engraved on brass that had seen better days but never quit, like me, like the core, like the idea that some things are worth more than money. Hayes thought he was clearing out deadwood. Instead, he cleared the path for exactly the leader Apex needed. There's justice in that kind of corporate karma. The relic didn't just survive, he prevailed. And America is safer for it.